Aloha. I'm reporting on Keegan's reading, pages 271 to 304, the chapter on learning. I found this chapter particularly interesting and helpful to me because it's on learning and becoming a better student, moving from that third level of consciousness to that fourth level of consciousness. And I found it very helpful to read through it and to see the ideas as Keegan explained them. But he talks about some of the challenges that he sees in order to move from the third level to the fourth level. The first one that was mentioned and you asked us to speak on was the reading. There was a professor at Harvard named Perry who would start each and every class with different exercises in reading, training his students to at first just kind of skim the pages faster and have an increased level of comprehension. But as it got to the end of the semester, students made comments about how it didn't resemble reading whatsoever. The book said the way God intended it, word by word, but that it was more just a skimming, that it would start at the end in order to prompt questions in the mind. Well, how would this idea come about? What do these ideas mean? Why is he talking about this when it has nothing to do with the title? Different things that would prompt more thought on this in the students' ability to focus as they would more kind of skim through the article trying to answer these questions that they were getting. And that was one of the major obstacles that Keegan pointed out towards the ability of students to move from that third level to the fourth level. There were a few other obstacles as well, such as students having a habit of studying for the teacher, that they would more just kind of try and please the professor and give them what they wanted rather than being able to express their own ideas. And when the teacher would tell them to express their own ideas, they would use their own opinions, but they wouldn't get what the professor was really trying to say, which was something along the lines of using these ideas and applying them towards a particular subject and pointing out how these work or don't work in society rather than just stating an opinion of fact, an opinion or just stating the facts, excuse me. But that studying for the professor was an obstacle that a lot of students just get in the habit of, and it's kind of hard to break that habit of just studying for what the professor wants instead of being able to move from that third level to the fourth level of thinking. Another problem that he mentioned, which I found particularly interesting because we see this one a lot, mentioned loyalty. That he gave the example of Irishmen in Boston, I think it was, that were afraid to move up, that others would see them as being better than them, that they were turning their backs on their culture and this place that they lived, even if they wouldn't necessarily move out of these Irish communities. Or some other examples was of a Native Alaskan tribe or even the Mormons, which I thought was particularly interesting, that we hold on to this idea of, well, what God says goes, and not being able to kind of think for ourselves, well, because we have to do what God says. But in my mind, it's kind of more just a shift of still being able to follow what God says, but being able to understand how he does it, which is the part that I find most interesting and most exciting as I try and move from a third order to a fourth order. But because of this loyalty idea, so many groups of people get stuck in this third order because it's hard to let go of, well, but God said, and well, but the elders of the tribe said, and well, but the professor said, and that's a hard obstacle to overcome when you've been ingrained in that from the time that you were little, to be told that this is the truth, this is the way it is supposed to be, and have to try and change that idea. Another problem that he mentioned was an issue more for the educators, as there were different groups of people that they were trying to teach towards, the younger group, the older adolescents from 18 to 22ish, or older students who were trying to come back to school and to regain education in order to get ahead of the job that they already have. And it was interesting to note that that was more hard on the professors, and you think of how hard it is for the students to just jump right out of college or to jump back into school, but to note how the teachers have to change their entire focus because of the different types of students, like self-directed students was the phrase that they used in the book, or to give more of a vocational training, to just focus on the tasks that the job wants them to do instead of actually teaching them this fourth level of consciousness. And so with all of these different ideas and different complications, it's very hard to move from a third level to a fourth level. And I can definitely see that in my life that some of these old habits are harder to break. But that it's definitely possible, and it's definitely worth it to become a better student and to understand the purpose of what all this is going to, and to be a better leader, which is the purpose and the hopeful outcome of moving to this fourth level of consciousness.